Kisses. Welcome in to the Bro Force Squad podcast. This is our spoilers review of the new Netflix original movie, Velvet Buzzsaw. I am your host, Jeff Hornacek. With me is our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli. Ronnie, we just got back from the art exhibit. What is your critique?
I will never be. They live in a world I will never be a part of. I want to be that pretentious.
I remember I was watching this movie and I just kept thinking, I'm really poor.
That's why I was like, man, I would love to be that much of a snob. I think I'm a snob. I think I'm a dick, but no, I clearly don't even come close to the ability of being a rich snob.
There's even a scene where a girl drops like 4 venti Starbucks cups on the floor, and I was like, that was like $15 wasted.
Yeah. To her, it's like, whatever. It's like when I drop a quarter, I don't look back for it.
It's not even worth picking up. All right, we are here to review this movie. Again, spoilers heavy for Velvet Buzzsaw, using the 5 Broforce Squad criteria: the acting, the story, our favorite scene, any impact going forward, and its rewatchability. So, Cycli, diving right in, we had a pretty star-studded cast for a Netflix original movie, which I guess we should kind of start to get used to by now. But what did you think of the actors and their performances in Velvet Buzzsaw?
I'll agree with you. I think we're at the point now where Netflix, like, I think a couple of years ago, I would have been like, whoa, Jake Gyllenhaal is in a Netflix original movie?
Yeah.
Wow, I need to check that out. Now it's at the point where, like, you almost expect it. It's not anymore that we're seeing Netflix movies that, don't have at least one big name.
Yeah, we hold them now to the same standard, I feel like.
We do. Like, I have actually started watching Netflix films with the same mindset that I have when I go to a theater. I used to watch Netflix films probably a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, with the idea of I'm watching a TV film, right? Like a made-for-TV film. So you always like lower your threshold. I'm now looking at it as like, okay, let's say I'm in the theater, judge it like that. I thought the cast was for the brand name between Rene Russo, John Malkovich, Jake Gyllenhaal. They were good. I actually am a big fan of Jake Gyllenhaal. I actually love his range. I think
and this was unlike anything I've ever seen him play before.
Yeah,
really. Except for maybe like Bubble Boy.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I loved him I fell in love with him in Donnie Darko, as Donnie Darko. I mean, and moving on, but like he really sold this like obnoxious, rich art critique that really molded the way how different artists looked, and he set the standard. Rene Russo was fantastic. John Malkovich was fine. I think John Malkovich is just John Malkovich. I have no idea why he was in this film. That's
we'll get to that in a second.
To him, you and I will talk about that. That's not his fault, but I will say this. Coco was great. She is in Stranger Things, I believe. That's where I recognized her.
Felt really bad for her character. She has a lot of bad luck in this movie.
I know we're going to talk about this in the story, but I thought she was going to be in on something because she found every damn dead body.
I know.
But I got to say this, and I don't like to get overly negative on these reviews, but Josephine, like, I thought, like, she was terrible. Like, I don't know her as a person. I don't know her actual name. But the character Josephine, like, she was awful. The acting ability was terrible. That I kept thinking the whole time about how bad she was. But everyone else stood out. She was overly bad, in my opinion. What did you think?
Yeah, Zawe Ashton played her. I haven't seen her in anything else, but I am personal friends with her, and I'll tell her that you said that. This was an interesting cast for me. Like you said, John Malkovich was good in it. He was John Malkovich, like, makes me laugh a lot. But his character Piers, you could take him out of this movie entirely, and if I'm missing something, comment below, but I don't think it changes the plot at all. Like, why is he in it? He was totally superfluous to me. Again, that's not a knock on his performance. Guy's got to eat, so take these roles, but like, why was he even in it?
Honest question really fast. Sorry to interrupt you. Well, when was the last time you saw John Malkovich do anything other than that exact same character? Like, I love him, but he is that, like, always kind of alcoholic, pissed off, person.
Dude, it might be like Of Mice and Men. That's the last time that I saw him not play that.
Yeah, and it's fine. He's perfect at it, but it's just like, I mean, whatever. I'll take it.
And yeah, I mean, he's obviously the lead, but Jake Gyllenhaal as Morph, I loved like every scene where he was critiquing anything. I was like, more of this. Be more pretentious. Like, come and judge the meal that I just made. Or, I mean, like, I could honestly have watched 50 minutes of just him reviewing things. And then another big, pretty hot star after Heredity was Toni Collette, who played Gretchen in this movie. Yeah. And I might touch briefly on her death in Best Scene, which is a little foreshadowing here, but her character was good, really interesting, felt really real to this world. Was a little one note, like every conversation she has, she's just ripping someone a new asshole. But it was fun to have her in this movie and see her. She is, again, super versatile. If you've seen, I think you saw Hereditary, right?
Yeah.
So
that was freaky.
Yeah, the pretty much antithesis of her character she plays in that just kind of shows her range.
That's one of the best horror movies in a while. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. So to see her, tread right back into the genre was another thing that had me interested. Obviously, we didn't get her, throughout the whole movie, and this is a spoilers review, so I can say that. But the parts that she was in, pretty commanding screen presence. All right, next category: the story and the plot. I think that I got this. I was expecting some deeper meaning or some ending that would have me kind of trying to process it or think about it, but Cycly, unless I'm missing something, this is actually way more straightforward than the trailer would have you thinking it's going to end up in terms of the story.
Yeah, I honestly, this was one of those films I wish I did not watch the trailer for. I watched the trailer I think a couple days ago, as Netflix does, you see they say what's trending, whatever, they autoplay the trailers. I really wish I hadn't seen the trailer. Not saying it took, I think I would have enjoyed it more not going into this having no idea what it was.
So here's the thing. The story really has two parts, right? There's the Deese backstory.
Yeah.
Like them investigating what happened to him. And then there's like the modern day stuff, like how the art is actually affecting people, everyone who comes into contact with it. So for me, I was pretty captivated by the Deese story unraveling. We actually hardly got, the more that I think about it, we didn't get that much of it. It's maybe a third of the movie. And I
would have preferred more of it too.
Like for sure. And again, maybe I'm looking too much into this, but I did kind of like how the painting and sort of the metaphor of it, it's kind of like an allegory for greed or people trying to take advantage of someone else's situation. I'm not sure if me saying that sounds pretentious or if I even interpreted the film correctly.
You're just doing your best Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, like my like hand is up on my chin and I'm looking at the film.
What would a Worf thought of this film is the real question.
Right. So I really enjoyed that part, but again, to me, there's a lot of questions. Like, I get it. He had a very troubled life. Some of it was his own fault. He used his blood in his paintings, but unless I totally missed something or subtext was there that I'm just too fucking stupid to pick up on, I don't get it. Why are these paintings able to haunt someone? Is that ever explained to us at all? I don't know. You said something good off pod. You said it just felt like an adult version of Goosebumps.
Right. Sort of. Like it was like, we just have to take it for what it is, right? Like the Deus Machina, the writer of the story is God, and we just have to take it. And that's fine. I understand that. But this was one of those films that I felt like either deserved a mini series, maybe 4 episodes, and divide it up and add more depth or add another hour to this movie. There needed to be expansion on what was happening. I love the Deese background. I like this haunted artist who had this horrible background, but that was it. There was no, well, why are the paintings haunted? Why are the paintings killing people?
Or
why
how?
Are monkeys reaching their hands, or how, or whatever. Just tell me. I'll believe it. I get that it's a fiction. I will buy what you're selling. Just tell me what's happening.
So just to make sure that you sorry to interrupt, that you got this, because this just reminded me of it, that you got the same thing out of it that I did. That scene where the monkey reaches through the painting and kills Bryson, that wasn't a Deese painting, right?
If it was, my wife and I, like, where did that painting come from and why was it hanging in that?
And if it wasn't, so now like any painting in the proximity of a Deese work are affected? I don't know.
Let's jump to the end. Her Bonesaw or Buzzsaw tattoo.
Yeah, I didn't get that at all.
So it is any work of art. And that's when I started, I'm like, what? That's why it was Goosebumps to me, right? It's a kid's story. Like, there's no, when it's a kid's story, you don't need an explanation.
And
No
again,
reason.
I'm fine with that. I'll play by the rules, but you have to explain them to me.
Right. So now
And
this artist has any ability to inhabit any work of art and then kill whoever's looking at it. I mean, whatever. I've seen crazier stories. I'll buy it. I'm not against the craziness of the story. I'm against the delivery of the story.
sure. And I guess one other question before we move on to best scene. Deese's death, are we to interpret that as he wanted Josefina to find him? Was that intentional, or did he just happen to die like purely by happenstance and she was basically just inadvertently tested and failed due to her greed?
I was expecting some sort of twist, like she was involved in his murder, and to get like I was waiting for some sort of twist, like where Josephine wanted his art, and she was like, "I can sell your art, and you'll be rich." And he's like, "No, never." And then she killed him, like something like that.
Yeah, we never got it, which is fine. Again,
people took over, but we never got it. He just randomly died. I don't know, like that was. And then, I just didn't get that. They didn't buy into that at all.
And maybe that's part of what Dan Gilroy, the writer-director, was going for, was this sort of like storytelling that is, you think it's going to zig and it zags, but I feel like they were missing some really key components to every movie that just weren't there. Everything that in it was great, but there's like some puzzle pieces that we don't have. All right.
Yeah.
Best scene. I got like 3. So I'm not going to say them all, but I'll let you go first, and then I'll just.
Why don't you say one of them? I'll go, and then you say your other.
So again, there were times in this movie that I laughed, and sort of like Quentin Tarantino. Or I guess one example would be like Burn After Reading. I never thought I'd mention that show on this pod, but there's like scenes where you laugh because you're just uncomfortable.
It always makes me think of There Will Be Blood, like the last scene in There Will Be Blood. You're like, wait, I'm laughing. He's killing the guy. Oh, I shouldn't be laughing at all.
Exactly. It's like Coen Brothers humor, almost like Fargo. You laugh because the situation, like you don't have any other reaction. But Gretchen's death scene, where she dies in the Sphere exhibit, and then the scene where the kids come on a field trip, and people are like, "Oh, it's art." Like, to me, that was a great way to encapsulate.
That was exactly mine.
How fucked up this art community is. There's a dead woman laying there, bled out, and people think that it's part of an art exhibit. And
I completely. That was exactly the scene I was about to say, and for the exact points you said, but. I remember when I was in college, there's something about when I had some pretty artistic friends they were all art majors. We would go to art shows. And I remember, and I just, I want to be sophisticated, right? I want to look at art and get it. And I remember one time I was at a museum and I was just like, it was literally a picture of a chair. There's a picture of a chair.
But was it cycly? Was that all it was?
And that's my point. And I'm like, okay, well, couldn't I do that? And the retort was, well, you could do it, but you didn't, and that person did, and that's why it's art. And, and I'm just like, well, that's true, fine. I just don't get it. And that's why I loved her dead body being on the ground and the blood on the floor and everyone just saying, well, it's art, right? Like that was the most realistic part of the movie to me. I totally bought that scene because I could give you something and be like, hot laugh about it. And then one other person can look at it and say, that is worth thousands of dollars, right? I don't understand why a picture of a chair is art, but someone else can say, you know what? I find value in that. I find it beautiful. It's symbolic. I will pay $2,000 for it. That scene, it told me that exact scenario.
Yeah, and to sort of go along with that motif, for whatever message Gilroy was trying to convey in that moment at that scene, I was like, I totally get it. Like right now, I was really enjoying the movie at that point because I'm like, dude, I'm picking up what you're putting down. And if this message was to sort of, or the point of this film for him was to sort of turn the light on this art community and how sort of self-servant it all is, that scene really resonated with me.
Yeah.
All right, impact. So this is interesting because, again, a Netflix original movie. I actually had Alex English, really good friend of the pod, told me that he found a stat that Netflix just last year did over 90 original movies, which to me was a staggering number. And now I would assume they'll top that number in 2019. So
I feel like they've already topped it in 2 months.
Right, probably. So, Cycly, what's the impact here for you, or just sort of the lasting impression of the movie, either or both, I guess?
I think what you're getting at, so it obviously it was the same like directing, writing, and some of the same actors like Jake Gyllenhaal as Nightcrawler. And if you haven't seen Nightcrawler, I actually really enjoyed it. It's a overly creepy movie, but at the end you kind of come to the same result where you're just like, what was the overall purpose? But for me, the real impact is, is it this movie that's making an impact on me, or is it Netflix making an impact on me? And I keep thinking that it's a Netflix that's making the impact and not the movie. I don't know if this movie is going to resonate with me in the next couple days and I'll think about it. I think the difference is if this movie came out in theaters, which actually it did, it's actually in select theaters. I think what Netflix is doing is they're buying rights and they're putting on Netflix instead of like letting these movies go to theater. It's allowing me to watch this movie that I would never pay money for.
Right.
I don't think I would ever pay $8 or whatever it is now to go to a movie to watch this movie. And there's a countless amount of Netflix films I've watched that I would never pay money for. And maybe at the concept of maybe on Redbox for $1. I don't think in any scenario would I ever pay money for this movie. And at that point, I respect Netflix for giving art more ability for visibility, right? I'm watching more. I'm seeing more. We're seeing directors and writers be more ambitious because they know their medium will be seen. Whereas if there wasn't this medium, we wouldn't go watch it.
Very true. That's actually a really good point. And now that you said that, I'm thinking, so everyone and their dog has Netflix, basically. If you don't have Netflix, like, what are you doing? But
if
imagine...
you don't have Netflix, you're borrowing it from your parents.
Right. If you don't have Netflix, you have Netflix. But you saying this movie's in select theaters, I'm thinking it would be like the ultimate irony for someone to pay to go see this film in select theaters when they could should just be watching it on Netflix, because those are the people being portrayed in the film are the ones who would, well, no, I need to, because it's not like some the visuals are fine, but it's not like some movie like Roma that you could even justify seeing on a big screen. Yeah. But I agree with you. The impact for me is, I think it just helps legitimize the Netflix originals in the sense that this is art that I think is worth seeing, but at the same time, like you said, I would never, like, I'm not going to a theater even spontaneously, and this is not something that I'm going to pay, whatever, $15 to buy a ticket for.
I mean, what's the Netflix restriction? I know they just upped their prices, but I don't think that, it's what, $10 and it's about to be $12. A movie ticket's $8-10 now.
Right. So you're basically punting the whole month.
Extra bucks and you have a whole month. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the same thing we said about, I mean, I don't know. We've done a couple Netflix reviews.
Bird Box, I think we did.
Bird Box, we said the same thing. And you got to respect it. I wouldn't be watching these type of films if they weren't available on Netflix. And props to them. And if you're a writer, if you're a director, if you're an artist, does that not make you feel more accomplished? I don't know. I mean, the movie actually asks this question: what is art if it's not seen? Maybe that's the point.
That's so deep. Too deep for me.
I know. Where am I in high school? I need to talk to some kids. Like,
that's a Zanga post waiting to fucking happen, dude. Let's dig back up our Zangas and get that on there. Or
please, I hope to God my Zanga is never discovered.
Or if My Chemical Romance is listening to this, they're like, holy shit, that's an album that we need to somehow, I don't know if they're broken up, but they're like, we need to get back together just to make that song.
Dude, if My Chemical Romance is broken up, that means their music will become even more emo. Like, because they're going to be writing about their breakup. It's going to be beautiful.
God, it's perfect. All right, last one, rewatchability. I mean, for me, this is it was an enjoyable movie. I'm glad that I watched it. Glad we did the review, but just I think I get it on one watch. If there was some bigger twist, maybe with Deese or something else that was really like worth me showing to a friend of mine, I might go back and rewatch it. But I think it's fairly straightforward, and if I'm interpreting it right, I think I got all out of it that I need to, so I probably won't rewatch it. Having said that, it was an enjoyable movie, but not when I need to go back and revisit. How about you?
Yeah, I don't see any scenario where I ever rewatch this. Not even like in a scenario saying with my friends or my sisters and saying, hey, let's watch this movie. It was really good. I saw it on Netflix. Again, it was okay to me, but I won't be shocked in a year and a half or 2 years down the road. You and I are talking, you're like, hey, remember that movie? And I'm like, kind of. it's pretty forgettable. Like I'm fine. I'm glad I watched it. No problem. I don't feel like I wasted my time by any means, but that's it. I watched it for the hour and 50 minutes it was. It was fine. It definitely had flaws, but that's it. I doubt I ever think about this movie again.
That was a pretty spot on description. I'm not going to sit here and bash it because I did enjoy it, but it's like if you go on a date with somebody and you're like, you're great, but there's just no chemistry.
You're not for me. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Also, I might be gay, like Jake Gyllenhaal's character. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Maybe that guy has range, man. I'm just gonna say that. Like, he has range.
Oh, absolutely. I think that was probably one of the most enjoyable parts. Was if nothing else, seeing him play against type, which I don't even know what his type is because he's played like everything.
Yeah, that's true. I love. If you haven't seen Prisoners out there, please go.
Love Prisoners.
Love Prisoner. I really like him in every movie he's done it. I like his sister too. That's a good acting family.
Strong acting genes there. All right, we have been the Bro Force Squad for our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli. I'm the mayor, Jeff Hornacek. Thank you guys for checking us out. You can follow us on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. Just type in Bro Force Squad, 3 words. Check out all of our reviews on Letterboxd. Follow us on Twitter at Bro Force Squad. And if you have access to the internet, which I'm pretty sure you do if you're listening to this, check out everything we post on our website, broforcesquad.com. Till next time, we'll see you at the art exhibit. Kisses.
Wait, you don't have access. Somehow made
Yeah, P.O. Box. What are our P.O.
Box? What's the
Stick Stickly reference?
What?